Welcome into Sports Tonight. I'm Sports Director Baillie Burmaster. Alongside Lee Smith, we have a lot to get to. October is the fun time of month, and boy, are we going to be very, very busy coming up. We'll start with the latest on the Atlanta Falcons. They have the Texans this Sunday at 1 back at home after sitting at 2-2, two-game skid, lost both the games, lost on the road to the Lions, then the Jags, and it has not been pretty, Lee.
It has not been pretty. Quarterback Desmond Ridder is obviously the talk of the team. Not being able to kind of fulfill expectations so far, but we didn't really know what he was going to be before the season even started. So with that said, they have to play better on offense. Have to.
And I think there was a good amount of hope where Ridder was concerned the first two games. You know, he looked a little nervous. He looked like he was a little uncomfortable at times, but was able to rally. That Packers win was huge. But then the last two games have been less than pretty. Against the Jags, he was 19 for 31, one touchdown, two interceptions. He also had a fumble. He's been really, really struggling. And I don't know, what I notice is he holds onto the ball way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. It's very clear. He's said a lot that he's going through his progressions and he's going through his reads, and you can just tell he's uncomfortable, and he's overthrowing a lot of guys. That led to the Mac Hollins interaction, which we talked about in depth yesterday. We did talk to Mac. We didn't get to talk about this yesterday, but we did talk to Mac in locker room after practice, and he basically said, you know, sometimes things happen in family. It wasn't really directed at Dez. And then he goes, but when I went back and watched the video, it looked like it was directed at Dez. And he was like, dang. He goes, but no, it was more so just offensive production overall. The standard hasn't been the standard. And, you know, I asked him, you know, with the offense not being the standard and these slow starts, like, what needs to happen? And he goes, I think, he basically said, who am I to tell the quarterback how to do his job?
Yep.
Like, who am I to tell anyone how to do their job? If I can focus on what I'm doing, if I'm worried about other people, then we have a problem. So that's not going to be the focus.
But at the same time, somebody's got to, like, truly reiterate, like, we have a shot here of doing something awesome.
I don't want to put words in mouths, but speculation.
Put words in mouths. Let's go.
But speculation in my time in the NFL, there was more than just frustration with the offense there.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the day, it starts and ends with Desmond Ridder. They're always going to take the most heat because they are the quarterback of the team, but also his throws haven't been hitting. If I'm a receiver, if I'm Mac Hollins, if I'm Drake London, if I am Kyle Pitts, I'm a little irritated right now. You know, get me the ball. Let's get into the end zone. Let's get this production going.
Well, I mean, even Bijan too. You know, like, of course he's going to come out. He's going to defend his quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4 games in to the season. But, man, if you just go back to that Detroit game, it looked awful. I mean, they at no point had a chance in the entire game.
Yeah, and I told Bijan, I was talking to Bijan, and I just said, how do you feel so comfortable standing up? And he was like, listen, I know Ritter's my guy. He's helped me through so much, so I'm going to be there for him. And it just speaks to the maturity of Bijan, too. A guy I find interesting that we have to talk about, Lee, Kyle Pitts. Where in the world has Kyle Pitts been?
I don't know, but if you find him, let me know. I'm sure a lot of people doing their fantasy teams would like to know that too.
Well, going back to training camp even, you could see how much of the lead up to him being back from the MCL tear, which I believe was in Game 11 last year. He's healthy. He feels good. He was out there. And then there was a lot of weird things that kind of came out of yesterday concerning Kyle Pitts. So head coach Arthur Smith said that Pitts is still working his way back. He's not totally 100%. We then talked to Kyle Pitts, and I will let you watch his time talking to media in postgame, and then we'll talk more about it.
Obviously, you guys are in the middle of a 2-game skid right now. How would you kind of just assess kind of just the mood and the vibe and the belief in the team right now?
Just got to get back on track. You know, like I said, we're on 2-game skid, so just got to, you know, get back to the details and, you know, get us a win this week.
All right, so little audio issues, so we're going to tag team this way right now. All right, so let's dive into what Kyle Pitts just said. So you have Arthur Smith who says, okay, he's not 100%. Pitts comes in and says he is 100%. But then at one point he says he was 100%. So there's just a lot of uncertainty. Now, I think we should dive into Kyle Pitts and who he is as to the media when we talk to him. He's never great.
Well, he's shy and timid, I would say. He's kind of withdrawn. He's not really he's not going to, put himself out there and be super informative or opinionated or anything. It's kind of like an obligation, which, for some players, I get it. They don't want to deal with the media, but that's part of the job, unfortunately, for some. But yeah, it's so weird how he just disappeared. I mean, highest drafted tight end ever in the history of the NFL.
And I don't know where the offense is concerned, how we look at that in a sense of, okay, well.
Yeah, it's just.
Is it a run? Is it an all run? An all run offense? Bijan? Is it?
But you can't do that though, because these dudes are like the greatest athletes in the world. And at some point, if it's like 11 versus 8 and you've got a couple of receivers out there, you're not going to win that battle.
No. And I just think that at the end of the day, Ritter's been having a hard time connecting with some guys, and I think Drake London has been the safety net. He found Mac Hollins a good bit when they were playing against the Packers, but it's been Drake London. But Kyle Pitts has been not even an afterthought. He's been non-existent, and I don't know how you.
I mean, Jonnu Smith has more catches and yards than Pitts.
And that's crazy. Like, that is absolutely crazy.
And he wasn't expected to come in here and, be the third option. He was supposed to be number 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. But something's got to give with them because they're a fourth of the way through the season. And, they had hope the first two matchups. And now it's just kind of like going downhill, just
plummeting. Plummeting.
And they have so much talent. That's the problem. They have so much talent.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? I'm hoping they get something going against the Texans. Unfortunately, where the Falcons are kind of trending in the wrong way, next you have the Texans trending in the right way.
Yep.
They're going up. CJ Stroud has been playing lights out. It's funny. I don't know if you've been paying a lot of attention, but the rookie of the year is kind of like between C.J. Stroud and Bijan Robinson, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Stroud's been awesome.
He has.
And, of course, when you're the quarterback and you touch it every snap, it's a little easier to manipulate your results.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a tough task.
We talked about it in depth yesterday, but I want to talk about it again. The Mac Hollins-Desmond Ridder interaction. So you have Ridder,
Yep.
who says he's an emotional guy, he's a fiery guy, it wasn't pointed, it was just the overall offense. That is the concern. It's fine. It is what it is. When we talked to Mac Hollins yesterday, and I'm going to play a little bit of his press conference again, just so you guys can get a real feel for it. But before we even talked about it, when we were in locker room, he was joking. He goes, I'm not going to talk to y'all today. Y'all would be so mad. He's like, you don't want to talk to me any other day, and now you want to talk to me. That made me laugh because he has a sense of humor about it. But let's watch a little bit of his press conference.
I mean, he's not wrong, by the way.
No, he's not. He was calling us out, and it was very fair, and it was funny. We'll play a little bit more of his press conference and then come back and dive into that.
First of all, obviously, we've talked about obviously the outbursts that we've seen on TV, but how do you feel the vibe is now going into week 5?
I think the vibe is good. I think we're ready to put some work in this week and get back on track. That's the goal, like it is every week, to get a win. And obviously we haven't done that the last 2 weeks, so getting back on the road.
Do you feel like, would you describe yourself as maybe like a passionate, emotional person that just needs to kind of express themselves during times when maybe things aren't going their way?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, like, I've played in this league a long time, and I know I've been on different teams, and I know what our standard is and what we're capable of. And I know the things that Coach Smith has built us to become. And I know what we've done weeks leading up to games and what we should be playing at and the caliber we should be playing at. And we weren't playing at that caliber. So I was frustrated. But, like, none of it, obviously looking at the clip after the game, it looks like I'm talking to Des. Like, who the hell am I to tell a quarterback how to throw a ball? Like, have I dropped the ball? Yes. So, like, I have no business telling a quarterback how to throw a ball. That will never be something. I don't think any player should ever say something to another position about how they should play their position. It doesn't make sense. But when the standard of a team is the problem, which I thought, like, and any other player that's out there would say that we were playing at our standard, I would say they're lying. Like, we weren't playing at our standard, and I was frustrated about that. So that's what my outburst was. Des just happened to be
Why do you think
the guy that was in front of me.
Why do you think this team has failed to meet that standard this last 2 weeks?
I think that's kind of the question. And whether it's, we're just not starting as fast as we can, but I think it always is going to go back to each individual man. Like, am I doing enough in practice, out of practice, in film study, in game? Am I doing as much as I can to make sure my job is perfect? If every guy on the team can do that, I think we'll start really seeing the difference. It's hard to, like, I did good on this play, but it didn't go well. Well, what about, did all 11 do good? Did all 11 do what they were supposed to do? Because you never know which play is going to be the one that might be the difference in a game, difference in a first down. So just looking internally of, like, hey, I need to be better is the biggest thing.
Did you have a conversation just with Des? Like, yo, man, I know I didn't mean for it to come off. You know what I mean? Like, did you guys talk?
Well, I didn't know until after somebody was like, hey, what's up with you and Des? Like, I saw the outburst of you and Des, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know I did it to Des.
Yeah.
It just kind of was. And then I saw the video, I was like, wow, that looked like it was really at Des. like, I really don't mess with him at all. Like, like, we can fight right now.
Yeah.
That's what it, yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
But, no, like, we never had a problem, me and him, like, from that moment or after the game. Like, there was never anything there.
What do you feel like is the difference between you guys at home and away right now? I mean, Coach, or your assistant head coach talked about kind of when it comes to young teams, you guys thrive off of the energy, and maybe veteran teams don't need it as much when you're away. Do you kind of feel maybe a difference with this team that you kind of need some energy from the fans?
Having energy from the fans is always great. So when we're down at the Benz, it's always awesome to have them there, because it does help. Whether that's a false start, one time a game, like, that's a big game changer thing. But I don't think it has anything to do with being older or younger. I think we just have to be better when we play away. Obviously, we're 4 games in. It's hard to say, like, hey, when they're away, they're not as good. I mean, it's kind of too early to really determine that. But I think we just have to continue to play well, no matter where we are. Like, the Super Bowl is not going to be at our home field. You know what I mean? So, and if that's the goal of this team or any team, I'm guessing in the NFL, you should probably get good at playing away.
Today, like,
So, wrap up there. I thought it was interesting that, he made a good point. He said it's too early to know if we're not good on the road, which is totally fair. It's only been 2 games. But he said, for any team that's trying to get to a Super Bowl, that's not going to be at home either. So, better get used to it and better get used to it quick.
Yeah, and it's so odd to see this already in month 1,
It is, for sure. All right, we're going to move to our third topic of the day, which is something that is totally taken over the NFL, and that is Taylor Swift. I didn't want to talk about it, but the longer it remains a storyline, the more we have to talk about it. I do want to reference, so for those who don't know, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are apparently an item. She went to a game in Kansas City.
First of all, who doesn't know this?
You don't want to assume. You do not want to assume.
If they've been watching any football, any NFL games,
you can't assume everyone's a football fan.
Oh, I don't. I don't assume people are football fans, but I assume everyone knows what Taylor Swift was doing any and at all times.
Okay.
At any point of the day.
That too. There's probably more Swifties than there are NFL fans, which is kind of scary if we're being honest.
I don't know.
Wait, someone needs to get the numbers on that. Now I'm actually intrigued.
That would be tough.
Now I'm actually intrigued. Okay, so then she went to the Jets game. She showed up with Ryan Reynolds. Blake Lively was in a suite with Patrick Mahomes' wife Brittany. They showed her. Okay, this was what bothered me. Okay, it was Sunday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
Or Monday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
And Chiefs Jets in New York, Jersey, and the opening for the show, they had a whole Carson Daly intro where he was using a bunch of Swift puns. The announcers were referencing it. They showed her like bajillion times. And this might be a hot take for some, this is where I get bothered. There was a point where it's distracting from the actual game and the actual coverage of the game.
So after the 30th time they went to her, or like the 29th? Because like, what's
I'm
one
talking
more?
like the second.
Because like, what's
the
one more
second
kind of,
time.
you know?
And you know what? So I can't remember. I think, okay, so the Kelceys, Travis Kelce and his brother Jason, have a podcast.
Yep.
And so Jason asked Travis, do you think it's been overblown? And he's like, no, they're having fun with it. It is what it is. But I will say, and Jason brought this up, and I was like, that is a great point. He talked about how the NBA has it made, because the NBA will put them all courtside, show them once, and be done. And I'm like, yeah. That's what we need to do in the NFL. But I think the NFL is also trying to capitalize on the hype around Taylor Swift. I also think this is totally planted. I've said that before, and I think at this time, for the mere fact, if you watched it, you had like the whole Sunday night opener. The first commercial was one for Taylor Swift's movie about her Reputations tour.
Yep.
And then it followed with a Travis Kelce Pfizer commercial.
Okay, so
That's not coincidence.
No,
That's not coincidence.
because they put the commercial breaks in before time,
Correct.
so they know what they're playing.
And those are also made way in advance. Way in advance. So
But it's like, when's the last time you saw a celebrity show up at a game, and then they like on the commercial before they come back to them live at the game, they have a tour announcement or something. Never. That never happens.
No. And so
Unless you're Taylor Swift.
correct. And social media accounts, like I believe the NFL, TikTok, and Instagram was like Taylor Swift was here. Like, yeah, there's social media managers behind that are putting it all in and having fun with it, but it's planted. I'm eager to see how much this continues on. Like, will she continue to go to games? How much are we going to highlight her? The best part was the people that would video her coming in, and then like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are behind her and they're not even referencing them. I'm like, wait, they're super big stars too.
Yeah.
And Hugh Jackman was there.
It's crazy. I don't personally get it.
You're not a Swiftie.
I am not.
Who do you ride for? Like musically, like who are you
Yeah, well,
part of?
I'm a lost cause. I'm like a 70s guy, so.
That's not bad. Okay, so give me
Yeah,
a
but
name.
I like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin.
Okay,
But
those
I'm not
are
gonna
good.
see them ever live.
Yeah.
Like, it's over for them, which is, whatever. I've come to terms.
Queen is coming. If you're a Queen fan,
I
but they're
am.
coming with Adam Lambert. Obviously, it's not
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Well, yeah. Well,
Sorry.
yeah. A spoiler if anyone didn't know.
Spoiler. Spoiler.
But yeah, I don't necessarily get it, but a lot of
do.
people are Swiftie fans.
I am a little petty, so I do like to pin people against other people in this sense, and like the Swifties going
Travis
against
Kelce fans versus NFL fans versus
yes,
Taylor Swift.
Yes, I'm here for that. And like people breaking down football for Taylor Swift
Yeah.
fans who don't know football, which is bold to assume that women don't know sports. Maybe they do. Maybe they're Swifties and they're NFL fans. But also the Beehive, Beyonce fans are coming out.
Though that's
in
a
full
bit, yeah,
force.
that's, yeah.
You know, anyway.
If I'm watching a football game, I just don't want to see a cutaway to
We wanna watch
anyone
football.
sitting in the stands for
We wanted to see Zach
3
Wilson
hours.
fail for 4 quarters.
yes.
But we didn't see that either.
No,
that was
no.
the funny thing. Oh, gosh. The NFL, it never fails to entertain us. Let's move on to our next topic. We are talking baseball.
All
the National
right.
League Division Series is officially set. The Phillies swept the Marlins into best of 3. It is now going to be Braves, Phillies in the NLDS.
Yep.
Things get started on Saturday at Truist Park. First pitch at 6:07, and then game 2 will be Monday, also at Truist, 6:07. Then game 3 will be on Wednesday in Philadelphia. We do not know the time of that game. If there needs to be a game 4, that will also be in Philly on Thursday. And then game 5 will actually be Saturday, back here at Truist if needed. A lot of times are still to be determined, but we do know the game time for the first 2 is 6:07.
I am just anxious, very anxious to see if this little break that they've been on for the last week has worked or not.
You mean like the postseason
the
practices,
fan
technically, like the
workouts.
interplay,
The fan
inter-squad?
workouts. I just don't know, because last year they looked awful when they had their break, and they had to come back so hard to even get the division championship, because they had to come back against the Mets, but they had that 1 week layoff between them and the NLDS. And also, the Phillies themselves, I mean, they're just a good team. They're hot right now. I mean, they're hot right now.
this is where I stand on things. This will be the third time the Braves see the Phillies in the postseason. They have lost the other 2 times, the 93 NLCS, and then everyone's very familiar with what happened last year. So the Phillies are a bit of a kryptonite for the Braves. However, I do think the third time could be a charm. I think the Braves will be coming out with vengeance. They want to prove something. But I think it's also important to note, like, you go as far as your pitching goes. And I think, with Spencer Strider and Max Fried, you feel good, but it's really that third day pitching that you don't know what you're going to get. I think the good news is where the Braves are concerned, they can out-hit anyone.
That's true.
They really can.
But I'll tell you what, the Phillies and the Dodgers probably have the second and third best offense.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of weird how the seeding worked, where now the Braves have to play the 3 seed, the Phillies, but somehow they're the number 1 seed versus the Dodgers have to play the 6 seed Diamondbacks. Mm-hmm. It's just weird. I know how it's set up, but it's funny that the Braves almost get punished because they have a better record.
Yeah.
But yeah, Philly's hot right now, and just like last year, it looks like it's gonna be the same thing.
Did you watch any of the games? Were
Yeah,
you able to?
I watched a little bit of all of them.
Because I was watching last night's game against.
But none of them were really close.
No, but I'll tell you that atmosphere.
Oh, the Phillies know what they're doing. Like that crowd, like
It makes me nervous.
I don't want to give it to them because like
No,
universally,
but the Braves,
I think
it
no one
should
likes
amp.
Phillies fans.
Yeah, I think the Braves should amp it up because it was a great atmosphere.
I will say the Braves do have a really good postseason atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Like it 2 years ago when they were on their postseason run to the World Series, it was electric. I mean, it was crazy from start to finish. And I really thought when Adam Duvall hit that grand slam in Game 5 at home, I thought they were going to win, and I thought that was going to be like the capstone moment of like the whole thing, but they ended up losing the game. But that one moment, I've never heard a baseball field louder than that grand slam. I mean, it was crazy.
So, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Okay.
What do you think happens in this division series?
God, I want the Braves to win. I really do. But Philadelphia's so hot.
I totally
and they're
agree.
They're pitching. Their first 2 pitchers. Who was it? Who was the first night? And then last night it was Zach Wheeler was their Game 1 starter, and Game 2 was Aaron Nola.
Yep.
They were on fire last night. And if they get that pitching performance with their kind of offense, it's going to be hard to beat that team. It really is. Yeah, because, I mean, they hit a grand slam, and who does that in the postseason? Not many people can do that.
I like poetic endings, and although I do think the Phillies could take it a third time against the Braves in the postseason, I just think Atlanta is going to be too mean, too PO'd to let them come in and take them again. But you never know. I think it's going to be a great NLDS. I think everyone's going to have their eyes on this. Obviously, it's like prime time at 6.
It's going to come down to pitching.
So it's going to be interesting. All right, Lee, it's our favorite segment, What's on Our Minds? I'm going to start with mine. And that is going to be, we had Hawks Media Day earlier this week. There was big news in the East. It was asked about to Trae Young and Quinn Snyder because Drew Holiday is now with the Celtics. They replace Marcus Smart with a top defender with probably a little bit less of an ego. And he was actually introduced with the Celtics this week. And I want to toss to that sound so you guys can get a feel for who Drew Holiday is and what he means to the Celtics now with the new addition.
Drew, can you just walk us through this whirlwind? You go from very recently saying you want to be a Buck for life to being traded and now coming to Milwaukee's biggest rival and looking to knock them out. What's that been like?
It's definitely been a whirlwind. Just my family was established there, and we had school and things like that. We had friends, but it's also a part of the business. I feel like coming here is definitely my best chance of winning and being able to help the guys here that have made big moves and done great things in this league. So I'm here to really just help step up that game and become a champion. So it has been a whirlwind. Everybody here has been so gracious and graceful. Everybody's tried to tell me where to live and find out what neighborhood to be in and how close everything is. And that's just off the court, which I super appreciate because I'm all about family, and my family is the most important thing to me. But basketball-wise, all the guys have embraced me, all the coaches. Right when I got traded, Joe was the first person sending me clips on what to do on pick and roll defense or how to run the offense and things like that. So it's been very, very welcoming, and really just glad to be here, a part of this championship caliber group. And not only that, what this stands for. I mean, a Boston Celtic. And again, growing up in LA as a Laker fan, I know a lot of my family's probably hurt, but but I know this is a blue-collar town. They love people that work hard, and they put their heart into it. And that's just the type of person that I am, is every time I step into the court, I give you my everything.
Well, welcome, Drew. Reports said you wanted to be with the Celtics, once the deal went down with Portland. What kind of made this a destination you wanted to be? And now that you're here, for you and Brad, how do you look at this as a long-term home for you?
I mean, you just look at the resume, right? You look at the history that this place has had. You look at the organization and everything that I've always heard about it. You look at how competitive they've been in the last 5-6 years, and even before that. Even when I was in Philly, I went Game 7 with Boston. Rondo hit 2 threes to go to the conference championship. So ever since I've been into the league and before that, this has been a championship caliber organization. So it was a very easy decision that this would be one of the places that I would have loved to come to. We also lost to you guys in 7 games not too long ago. So I think being a part of this type of organization and this group is something that I really wanted to be a part of.
I know it is early, Brad, but the long-term home for him, is that kind of a conversation that's
They definitely wanted him there, and I will say this, I had a brief time of overlap in Green Bay. We covered Milwaukee in depth. When they secured Drew Holiday, they were looking for another type of caliber player. He is as good a human as they come, and him and his wife do a lot in the community, but he is a top-notch defender. He really brings some juice for a team, and I think it's scary that he's gone to the Celtics.
Well, the Celtics and then the Blazers are involved, and God, it's a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And hey, they're getting good when Drew Holiday, because I remember when they played the Hawks in the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals, that dude was like it. Like Chris Middleton had like one game where he was absolutely on fire, but between Holiday and Giannis, it was.
Well, and I think, another perspective of all of this, which I find really interesting, is the Marcus Smart perspective. He loved Boston. He loved that team. Now, there is, always a little bit of baggage that comes with Marcus Smart. He is a very passionate, fiery dude. It gets him in trouble sometimes. Sometimes he gets labeled dirty, but he brings that fire defensively that you need. They get rid of him. They ship him to Memphis, and they're going, okay, well, who are you going to get to replace him? And Drew Holiday is really just as caliber of a defender as Marcus. Minus a little bit of the ego. So that is such a grab for them. It makes the East scary. And the Atlanta Hawks, even Trae Young said, he was like, you know what? He's like, it makes the East a lot harder. But guess what? If you can't compete with those teams, then it doesn't matter. Like, we were toe to toe all the way to a Game 6 last year with the Celtics, and it just means we have to ramp up and we have to grow. Unfortunately for the Hawks, they're a lot younger team. And it's gonna take some time to mesh. Yeah, for sure. Don't forget, you can listen to Sports Tonight as a podcast as well, so you can get that where you get all your podcast. Of course, you can join us throughout the week. We'll continue to do this, but for now, we're gonna let you go. I'm Baillie Burmaster alongside Lee Smith. You guys have a great day.